Hello, and welcome to the Whispering Woods, a magical place filled with trees so tall they tickled the clouds. In the highest branch of the oldest oak tree lived a very particular squirrel named Whiskers. Now, Whiskers wasn't just any squirrel. He was famous throughout the woods. Not because he could climb fast, plenty of squirrels could do that, but because he was the very best acorn gatherer in the entire forest. Whiskers had one simple rule. Only the perfect, biggest, most beautiful acorns were worth collecting. His collection was a sight to behold. A perfectly stacked pyramid of glossy, round acorns, each one a flawless specimen. He spent his days searching for only the best, casting aside any acorn that had the slightest imperfection. He was proud of his work, and maybe just a little bit smug about it. One crisp autumn morning, as the sun painted the leaves in shades of gold and red, a new acorn fell from the branch above and landed right on Whiskers' collection pile. But this acorn was different. It wasn't round and smooth like the others. It was lopsided. This was Lopsided Lenny. Lenny had a tiny, curious bump on one side, which made him wobble, bounce, and roll off every flat surface he touched. Whiskers stared at Lenny, his nose twitching with disapproval. He carefully picked up the wobbly acorn between his paws. "Oh no," he declared, his voice full of disdain. "You simply won't do. You'll ruin my perfect stack. You're far too wobbly to be useful." With a flick of his paw, he pushed Lenny aside. The little acorn tumbled off the pile and landed in the soft moss below. Lenny just wobbled sadly. He looked up at Whiskers and whispered, his tiny voice trembling, "I try not to wobble, I really do. But it's just how I'm built." Whiskers scoffed, turning back to admire his perfect collection. "Well then, you're just a clumsy acorn," he said dismissively, not giving Lenny a second thought. And so, Lenny was left alone, feeling small and useless, while Whiskers continued his quest for perfection. A few days later, disaster struck the Whispering Woods. A huge storm had raged through the night, and the rain had been so heavy that a mighty, wide river had appeared where a gentle stream once flowed. This new, rushing river was a massive problem. It completely blocked the squirrels' path to the great nut stash on the other side, where they stored all their winter food. The water was too rough and fast to swim across, and the logs they usually used as bridges were now slippery and bucking wildly in the current. Panic began to spread through the squirrel community like wildfire. "How will we ever get our acorns across?" cried a young squirrel, her tail twitching nervously. "They'll just roll right into the river." Whiskers, always confident, stepped forward. "Don't worry, everyone. I'll show you how it's done." He selected one of his most perfect, roundest acorns. He carefully placed it on a flat plank of wood he found floating near the riverbank and gave it a gentle push. But as the plank tilted even slightly in the churning water, the perfect acorn did what perfect acorns do best. It rolled. Smoothly and quickly, it rolled right off the side of the plank and disappeared into the river with a sad little Everyone gasped. Whiskers tried again with another perfect acorn, and then another. Each time, the result was the same. The very quality that made his acorns so beautiful their perfect symmetry was now their biggest flaw. They were simply too good at rolling. The squirrels were stumped, and their hopes began to sink. Their winter feast was just across the river, but it might as well have been a million miles away. Then, a tiny, hesitant voice piped up from the edge of the crowd. Maybe I can help." Everyone turned. It was little Lenny, the wobbly acorn that Whiskers had tossed aside. Whiskers rolled his eyes so hard, he nearly fell over. You can't even sit still on a dry log. How could you possibly help?" The other squirrels murmured in agreement, looking at the clumsy-looking acorn with doubt. But Lenny insisted, his voice a little stronger this time. "Exactly! I'm already used to wobbling. I don't roll smoothly. Maybe that's what we need right now." The squirrel chief, a wise old squirrel with a bushy gray tail, looked at the rushing river, then at the desperate faces of his fellow squirrels, and finally at the determined little acorn. They were running out of options. "He's right," the chief declared. "We have nothing to lose. We'll give it a try." So, with great care, one of the squirrels gently placed Lenny on the wobbly wooden plank. The squirrels held their breath. As the plank dipped and swayed violently in the rough current, something amazing happened. Lenny didn't roll off. Because he was lopsided, he couldn't generate a smooth, continuous roll. Instead, he would wobble a little, bump against the current, and then his own uneven shape would stop him, settling him perfectly back into place against the wood. He was a natural at riding the waves. Slowly, carefully, a squirrel pushed the plank out into the river. Lenny wobbled and bobbed, but he stayed firmly on board, crossing the rushing water like a seasoned sailor. He made it to the other side. A huge cheer erupted from the riverbank. One by one, the squirrels learned to trust Lenny. He showed them exactly where and how to push the plank without letting him roll away completely. He became their guide, their little wobbly captain. Whiskers watched from the bank, his mouth wide open in astonishment. All of his perfect acorns were useless, sitting in a neat but helpless pile. But Lenny, the clumsy one he had ridiculed, was the hero of the day. He was saving them all. After the last of the food was ferried across, the chief squirrel gathered everyone together. He held Lenny up for all to see. Lopsided, Lenny has shown us something very important today, he announced. What makes you different is often what makes you strong. His wobble saved the day. Feeling humbled, Whiskers sheepishly approached Lenny. He looked at the little acorn, not with disdain, but with newfound respect. I was wrong, Whiskers admitted quietly. I'm sorry. Your wobble isn't a flaw. It's the most useful thing in the entire woods. Lenny the acorn didn't say anything. He just gave a happy, controlled wobble, which was his way of saying, it's okay. And the moral of this story is a simple one. Don't ever let anyone, especially yourself, tell you that something different or unique about you is a weakness. Sometimes, the very thing that makes you feel a little wobbly or imperfect is the exact thing the world needs most. Your differences are not flaws. They are your superpowers. Thank you so much for joining us in the Whispering Woods today. If you enjoyed this story, please give this video a thumbs up, and do you want to forget to subscribe to our channel for more wonderful adventures. We can't wait to see you again next time.